Hi everyone, this is Rosa Kelly and I'm here with a new design team project for Country Craft Creations, and this time we're going to be making a beautiful mini album using the Only You paper collection by BoBunny. And if you saw my DT whole video, I show you every one of these beautiful designs. So if you want to get the paper, please visit countrycraftcreations.com and you will find this beautiful collection there. So I'm also going to be using some heavyweight cardstock, and so I'm using this pale pink. It probably looks white on the screen, but it's a very pale pink color, and I had this on my stash, and these ones are actually from Michael's. And then I'm also going to be using some chipboard. Again, this chipboard you can find at Country Craft Creations, and then these ones are just some scrap pieces that I think I might use. So also I'm going to be using this beautiful, gorgeous heart trim here to embellish my album, and this coordinating seam binding also you can find at Country Craft Creations, and I'll put the link down below. So let's get started here. So first we're going to start with the covers of the album. So now I decided to make this album as a gatefold mini album. So let me start cutting this chipboard. So I'm going to cut my first piece of chipboard at 6.5 by 8.5. So 6.5, and I'm gonna cut it on both sides because this chipboard is pretty thick. So I have a 6.5 piece, and I'm going to cut it at 8.5. And both sides again, and this is going to be my bottom base. And then for my top base, I'm going to again cut a piece of 8.5, and this one is going to be by 3.25. Okay, so 8.5 by 3.25, like that. So 3.25 right here, and you are going to need 2 of the 8.5 by 3.25. So this is why I have my scrap pieces. So I can use those first before I cut into the new 12 by 12. So again, 8.5 by 3.25. Okay, so this is going to be for the front of my album, like so. And for my spine, I'm going to need 2 more pieces of 8.5. I'm actually going to start a new sheet here. So I'm going to need 2 pieces of 8.5 by 3.5. So this is 8.5 by 3.5. And this Gatefold album, it's going to be different from the other Gatefold albums that I've done. So for this one, we're actually going to use 7 signatures, and the signatures will be actually overlapping each other as we're gonna do them on both sides of the spines, and I'll show you what I mean by that. But then also I wanted to mention that the page construction for this album, it's going to be very similar to the previous Valentine mini album that I did. And so if you want to make this album, you will make exactly the same thing, just for the new one that I'm making, I'm going to do another spine here, like so. And so I'm going to do like a binding here as well. That way I will have 4 signatures on this side and 3 signatures on that side, and they're kind of going to overlap each other. But if you are more interested in making this album, then you will only do the 3 sides. So basically you will do 2 of the big size and just 1 for the spine, and you will bind it that way. And then you will do only this side and not this side. And I'll show you what I mean, because I wasn't able to record this tutorial for this one, so I'll kind of walk you through. If you want to make this one, I will kind of show you how to do that one. And then the page designs, or at least the page construction, is going to be the same. So if you want to do this one again, you will only do 4. So I hope that it's not confusing. If you have any questions, just of course let me know. All right, so now let me grab some cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 pieces of 12 by 12 cardstock, and this is the artisan cardstock that you can also find at Country Craft Creations. And so what I'm going to do before I join them together is I'm going to trim them at 10.5 inches. So I'm going to do 10.5 and just take these out, and then I'm going to join them together. So along the 10.5, I'm just going to place some double-sided tape and connect them together. So now I'm going to use 2 rows because I only have the small tape. Oh no. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to take off this tape. 1 and 2. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to put them together just like that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 6.5, and I broke down, I don't know if you can see the number here. This is the one that measures 6.5, and then you want the ones that measure 3.5. So you have 2 of the 3.5s, and you want those 2 right next to that. And then you want the 2 3.25 ones on the edge. So you're going to glue them on your paper this way. Okay, so let's glue them in place. So I'm going to be using my craft stick because I ran out of my wet glue, but this one is a pretty sticky glue as well. So yeah. And the good thing about the stick glues, I guess, is that you don't get any air bubbles because it's all just flat. Okay, so I'm gonna place this one down, and then I'm gonna be adding the ones on the side. So this is the 3.5 inch, and then when you place it, make sure that you have a little bit of room in between these 2, just like an 1/8 of an inch. And then we're gonna do the next one here, which is the 3.25. Okay, and then we're gonna do the same for the other side. So once we have them glued in place, we're going to start bending our cardstock here and just start giving it some shape. Before we add any tape or anything, you want to do this. And I'm going to do the same for all sides. And then we're going to cut the corners. So just like this, and you want to leave just a little bit of room in between your chipboard and your cardstock. You don't want to cut right against it. So let me do the same here, and just like that, and same on this side, and one more. Okay, so now that our cardstock is all bended and we know how it's going to sit, then we're going to add some tape. I'm gonna use double-sided tape. You could also use glue. That will be your choice. So I'm actually gonna add 2 rows because I'm only using this 1/4-inch tape. So just like that, and then I'm going to remove it. 1 and 2. And here we go. So then I'm gonna go around and do the same for all 4 sides. And for the sides, before you glue them, make sure that you tuck in the little corner here. Either do it with your nails or with your bone folder. You just want to make sure that you don't have those pointy corners. So then we're gonna put it like this. I'm gonna add more tape. So I got 1, and like I said, I'm going to use 2 rows of tape. Okay, so and then I'm just gonna peel off this tape, and we're gonna do the same on the other side as well. Okay, so now we have all of our pieces connected together, and then you're gonna go around on each gap and just mark it with your bone folder here. Just give it a little crease where we're going to bend, and that way our paper won't you know, lift up or anything like that. Okay, so then we're gonna start folding each one. 1, 2, and then this one and this one. So now we have our binding complete, just like that. And then we're gonna add a closure, but before I add my closure, I want to do my hinges. So I'm gonna grab my paper cutter and 2 more sheets of the artisan cardstock, and I'm going to trim these ones at 7 3/4. Second there. Okay, so I'm going to do 7 3/4, and I'm using 2 because I'm going to do 2 different hinges, one on this side and one on this side. If you're only doing the example like this one, then you will only need the bottom, which is this one, the middle spine, and then here you will put another 6.5-inch piece for the front cover, and then you will only need to do one of the hinges. Okay, so let me grab my scoreboard, and I'm going to start by scoring at 1.5. Okay, and then I'm going to score a 3/4 inch after that on each one. Okay, so I'm going to score at 2 1/4, and I'm going to score at 3 and 3 3/4, 4 1/2, 5 1/4, 6, and then 6 3/4, and then 7 1/2, and then 8 1/4, and 9, and 9 3/4, and 10 1/2. And I think I think that'll be our last one. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, perfect. So this is going to be our first one, and then for the other one we're going to do the same. So again, so I'm going to start at, I'm actually going to start at 2 here, because this one's only going to have 3 hinges instead of the other one was going to have 4. So on this one I'm going to score at 2, 2 3/4, 3 1/2, 4 1/4, 5, 5 3/4, 6 1/2, and 7 1/4, and 8. Okay, so then I'm going to score again. I'm going to leave 2 inches, and I'm going to score again at 10. The dot is going to be the mark where we're going to cut this. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it on that last score line. Okay, so we're gonna have, like I said, 2 different hinges. So let me start with this first one we did. And so if you're only doing the one side of the album, you will only need this one. So the first 2 I'm going to kind of pinch and join together. Okay, and then the next one you're gonna leave flat, and then the next 2 after that we're gonna pinch together again, and so on. So I like to keep them really flat. So now we have 2 hinges. So again, the next one we're gonna leave flat, and the 2 after that we're going to pinch together. And we're going to do that one more time. We're going to leave the next one flat, and the next 2 we're going to pinch together. So we are going to have 4 hinges on this side. And then you're going to go on the back, and for each one of these little heels we're going to do some either tape or glue, whatever you're using, and we're going to just join them together. So here's the 1, 2, and 1 here, 3 and 4. So let me just put them together. Here's 1. Here's 2. Here's 3, and the last one. Here is 4. Okay. So that's 1. And then for the second one, we're going to do the same. But this time, we're only going to have 3 hinges. So I have 1, 2, and 3. And again, we're going to turn it around and put the tape on the back of each one of my little heels. I call them heels because they look like a heel if you look from the top. But I don't really know. This is called a hinge. So I'm going to do 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then I'll show you how we're going to place these on our binding. Here's 1. Here's 2. And 3. Okay. So now we're going to get our binding back here. And so the one with 3 we're going to place on this side, and the one with 4 on this side. So now before, so when we place it, make sure that your 4, I know this side is longer than this side, and that doesn't really matter. But when we place them, you want your 4 hinges to be centered on this 3.5 inch side. Okay, so I'm going to use some glue. I'm actually going to use some tape because, like I said, I'm running out of glue. And I prefer to use glue for this step, but I'm gonna have to do with this tape. So yeah, so I'm just going to add tape all along here on my back. Okay, so I have all my double-sided tape in there, and so I actually prefer to do this step with glue, and I suggest you do it with glue if you you know, a little bit new to make mini albums, because once you put the tape down, it's hard to position, but with the glue you have, you know, you have a little bit of time to move it around before the glue actually dries. So I'm just trying to put this up so I can see my center. So like I said, you're gonna center it with your 3.5 spine, and then you're also gonna center up and down to your album, and then you're just going to place it down. Okay. Okay. So just like that, and then we're going to grab a straight edge like this one, for example, and where we have the indent mark where your folding is, we're going to place the ruler and just give it a little mark with your little bone folder on both sides, and that's where it's going to bend. Okay, so that side, and then I'm going to do the same for this side. Oops. And I love this cardstock because this one won't break or anything like that, and it's still pretty flexible. So here we go. So that is one side, and then for the other side we're going to do exactly the same, and we are actually going to center the 3 hinges on the 3.5 inch side again. So just like that. So I added my other side, and now I'm just creasing here where my bending is going to be for this side. So we're gonna bend 1 and 2, and here we go. So now our cover is ready, and you should have a piece like this. How easy was that? Okay, so I'm going to actually clip this together that way it kind of takes position here, and let's see if I have my paper clip. So I'm just gonna hold it there for a little bit until it kind of stops opening. So let's see.